Yo, yo, yo.
What's up?
This is The Push. I'm Ryan.
I'm River.
And we are b.creativ. So today we are on number 6. How many fingers? Number 6 of 11 sustainable business fails that are killing your business. You're not certified. So we're going to get into why certification is important. What's the value that it brings into your business? What are some examples of people who are kind of cheating our view of sustainability? So let's jump right into it. So, River, can you explain to me what is greenwashing?
I can, in fact, explain to you what greenwashing is. So, greenwashing is a term that has been adopted to describe a company that is using sustainability to improve sales, improve marketing, improve image, but while not necessarily fulfilling what it means to actually be sustainable. Let's say, for example, you're walking through the store and you usually buy Head and Shoulders or something, and then you see a little thing on it that says 20% less packaging, more eco-friendly, right? And so this would be an example of greenwashing. And so they're trying to get you to emotionally connect with the product and say, oh, wow, I'm creating 20% less waste, but you have to take into consideration the entire design of the package and of the product and all the things that go into it, as well as the life cycle and how everything is used and created from end to end. So what we see is they haven't actually changed the physical properties of the container. So it's still a PEP or a plastic 1 through 9, which we know some of them are recyclable, some of them aren't, but majority of that goes into a landfill, whether it's recyclable or not, which is also a product of fossil fuels, which means that we have dug dinosaur bones out of the earth to create this product, which is one of the most unsustainable things that we can do. Then as we continue to look at everything that goes into it, we look at dyes, coloring. Are they using soy-based dyes, soy-based coloring, non-toxic, non-chemical? Most likely not, right? And so that comes with its entire own supply chain and its entire own life cycle of getting these resources out of the ground, creating a toxic chemical dye, putting it into a plastic or into a container label. And then the actual product in and of itself, right, is that shampoo or that product or that food or whatever it is, has it actually changed? Have they actually put consideration into the circular economic model of sustainability? And usually, if it is a case of greenwashing, what you can definitively say is you are making a claim to be ecologically friendly or green, but you actually haven't really done anything, because 20% less packaging could be as simple as a label or a box or something to that effect. And though you could argue they're trying, a company of this stature with this much money can make effective change at an extremely easy rate, and so to just try to get someone on to your platform, into your community as a customer without actually making systemic change within your business is greenwashing.
Sounds to me 20% less packaging is them just trying to cut their costs of packaging by 20% and not really caring about the sustainable aspect of that at all. But their marketing department says, hey, we can push this as being a sustainable thing, when really we're just cutting our costs.
Yeah.
And they're being a little bit more efficient with their materials, which they should have done in the first place. What's another hard example of greenwashing out in the ecosystem?
Immediately, something that comes to mind for me would be the whole energy movement. And so we've seen, quote, biofuels and green tech and green energy. When we really dig into this, when we really dig into biofuels, what that really means is that what they're doing is they're taking green resources, they're taking plant-based material or quote garbage, carbon-based material, and they're feeding it into a process that's then creating energy or fuel or something like that. On a surface level, you're saying, this is great. We're super sustainable because we're not using coal, we're not using oil, fossil fuels, petroleum-based things. And so everyone's like, yeah, let's get on board with this. And what they don't immediately explain to you is those green resources, where are they coming from? Well, they're coming from forests and they're coming from different areas of the planet that have a lot of green resources. Well, what happens is those resources are super important for the planet to be able to process greenhouse gas emissions. One side, we're still producing petrochemicals, we're still producing gasoline, fossil fuels, coal is still a thing, and even though it's less, it's still there. And so we really need those green resources to be able to counterbalance the greenhouse gas emissions from transportation industry, from the airline industry, from the shipping industry, everything that goes within the transport, as well as the animal agriculture industry, which is the number one producer of greenhouse gas emissions behind energy. And so we look at this and we say, on the surface, man, this is super sustainable and super green, and it's marketed as being really green, when in fact, it's not that green, because we're destroying resources that we really need to provide the planet with the circular system that it exists within naturally. And so this is probably one of the biggest examples I've seen today.
So when you say green resources, what you're saying is we're cutting down forests, we're cutting down tons of trees and then burning them or converting them into energy some sort of way.
Yeah.
And that's why you're saying that these green resources offset the emissions, the carbon emissions from other industries, because trees do just that. They take in carbon and they output oxygen. So that's a great example of greenwashing, because they put bio in front of diesel and bio in front of energy. And just by putting that bio in front of something, biodiesel, it makes it seem like it's not hurting the environment at all, when in reality it is.
It is.
It is.
And I'm going to go off on a little tangent here. And the issue that we see with this is that we have corporations and we have businesses tackling problems, right? But the problem that they're tackling is not an origin or a genesis. And so this is a very important thing. And I learned this from Patagonia, because they interesting fact, I don't know if everyone knows this, but Patagonia offers local financing options or investment packages. I think it's up to 80,000, maybe it's 88,000 or something like that, for local community NGOs and activist organizations who are fighting what's called a genesis issue. And so if we look at recycling isn't a genesis solution, right? Plastic is the genesis of the problem. So the fossil fuels is actually the very beginning. And so Patagonia, for example, isn't going to invest their money into a local recycling facility because it's not viewed as being able to actually solve the problem. It's a band-aid. It's a temporary fix. It's a, hey, you guys keep producing this terrible thing and you guys keep using it, right? And then these other people over here are going to come along and recycle it for you.
Just to give the listeners a little bit more info on that. So we've talked about this, I believe, in our first episode. Recycling, it's a step in the right direction. But whenever something is created from recycled plastics, virgin plastics, new plastics are always introduced into that process to create that thing that you're creating from recycled materials. So that's why it's not a genesis system, because you're putting in new materials in with the recycled materials, it's a step in the right direction. It's not as inefficient as just creating things from
Yep.
new plastics, but it's not the end all be all answer.
So now when we change the frame and we say, hey, what's the actual genesis of the issue of plastic, right? And we look at fossil fuel production, and then we would say, if we're making this comparison with Patagonia and we're talking about how they analyze what they're going to invest in, we say, what type of business is going to tackle the genesis issue of plastic, right? Well, a company that's creating a plastic alternative, right? A company that's fighting to shut down fossil fuel production and manufacturing facilities. These are the things that are going to invest because they're actually solving a genesis issue. It's not a band-aid. And so, for example, this is a huge one, and who knows if it'll ever be solved, but the issue isn't necessarily fossil fuels, right? Because we can have electric cars run on batteries, which is run on lithium, which is still a natural resource, which we still have to dig out of the ground, which still has to be disposed of. And so, though it's like recycling, it's a transitionary thing for us to make a switch into something that's more sustainable. It's not necessarily solving the problem that has been implemented by the transportation industry, by creating long stretches of highways, by not investing in efficient rail public transit like Europe and other places around the world. And so to solve the genesis issue, we would need to eliminate the use of fossil fuels within energy as a whole, right? Because that's the beginning. Not like, hey, let's not use coal and oil for energy, let's use trees for energy. And so we haven't created a solution. We're just switching from one element to another element, which may be a good transitory investment for us to make as a society, which is great to some extent, but we need to think beyond that if we really want to be effective. And so what I'm trying to get to here is that this is essentially greenwashing, right? Is when we avoid the genesis of the issue and we tackle something in a way that just kind of diverts us into another path, and instead of actually looking at the issue, right? And if we take it to a personal level, it's like, if you've experienced something traumatic in your life, you can divert through consumption of drugs and alcohol, and you can numb yourself, and you can effectively try to divert your subconscious, divert your consciousness from thinking about something that pains you, right? But we know that this only leads to negativity and it doesn't solve the genesis of the issue. So you need to face whatever that is within you personally. You need to seek help. You need to find counseling, to have a coach or someone who's going to sit there with you to work through these things. And so it's a very similar thing. Unless you face the actual issue,
we're not going to address the issue. So just to bring it back in, how do our listeners who are running actual sustainable businesses that aren't just greenwashing, but they're actually contributing to the positive net effect of changing the process from unsustainable practices to sustainable practices, how do those good companies differentiate from companies that are, say, greenwashing?
I'm going to flip this question back on you right now, and I'm going to answer you with a question. And I'm going to use toothpaste as an example because it's my favorite example. When you go to the store, right, you're at your favorite sustainable store, whatever, Whole Foods, who knows, and you're looking for toothpaste, how do you differentiate between the options on the shelf to determine which one is the most sustainable option, right? How is the information displayed to you that tells you, hey, I'm the most sustainable toothpaste,
I would have to go for credibility. Sure, certain brands already have a certain level of credibility that I have verified that this toothpaste is better than others. The example that pops up in my head is not toothpaste, but say a chocolate bar. So me and my wife like to go to the grocery store every now and then, just every occasion, to get some chocolate. And we make sure that we buy fair trade chocolate. So it's not taking advantage of any indigenous culture that's not made by the slave trade, et cetera, et cetera. So one of the things that we absolutely look for is that fair trade certification that tells me that this thing is made in line with my values, or it's Rainforest Council certified. So I would absolutely say, to get back to our episode topic here, certification is super important, and that's a way that a business can ensure that they're showing their customers that they are doing the right things. There are some certifications that also contribute to greenwashing that you don't really need to do anything to get. You just pay $500 or you pay $1,000. They give you a certification, you slap it on your product, and sure enough, you're certified. But those ones will die out, and the good certifications will live on. That's the way things work. And I think finding the right certifications, the right certifying bodies that have the credibility that the right companies are backing and becoming a part of really goes a long way to show that you are part of the good crew and you're doing the right things. So certifications are huge. And again, there are false prophets out there that are saying that they're doing the right things, but in reality, people will gravitate to the good ones. So certifications is a great way for a company to prove to their customers that they are who they say they are.
We have a couple certifications.
We do. We have done our research and gone for the ones that really put us through the ringer. The ones that you can't just fill out the certification application in a day and get certified. So a couple of those, the main one that comes to mind is B Corp, bcorporation.net. They're amazing. And the companies that are B Corp certified are really doing great things to change unsustainable practices in the world. They have a very stringent application process that takes quite a while to get through. So we decided to go through them, and we've been B Corp certified. We're B Corp pending still because our company didn't have the maturity when we filed for it last year to actually be fully B Corp certified. So that was another verification process that they had had on their end, and I'm excited to come November when that first trial period year is up to apply again and get the full B Corp. That'll be a big thing for our company.
Yeah. And that's not easy.
No.
We've set aside a week specifically for that, and we've been tracking it over the course of the year to make sure that we have everything necessary to fill in what's important on the application documents.
2 employees for a week to get in there and really take the application serious to make sure that we certify correctly. And then even then we have a score. They take the information in, and it's really not sure you get it or you don't get it, but at the same time, when someone wants to go to the B Corp website and look us up, there's a score associated with us. So the more time and effort we put into doing it the right way and sharing our water usages and our electricity usages and all of the things that go into the application, the better that we track it, the more energy that we put into recording all of our data throughout the year will give us a better score and more credibility through the B Corporation website. And then another benefit towards being certified, especially with a network like B Corporation, is the network that you get, the network of companies within the B Corp ecosystem that like to work with each other because they know that their partners are going to be ethical and sustainable because they're also B Corp certified. So you better believe that another B Corp that knows how the system works is going to look you up on the website and make sure that your score isn't just squeaking by to get that B Corp certification.
And that's it. That's a great point. We're also not flying blind, believing every B Corp company is amazing, right? Because this is a really important thing within our time, is to fact check the things that you hear. And so when we go somewhere and we're looking at a company, and this can be whether it's for our personal purchases or for a business partnership, and we see B Corp, that immediately gives us a connection, a validation to say, this company can potentially be someone that we continue to buy, or someone that we continue to be partners with and engage in a business to business and business to consumer relationship within our personal life and within our business. But that it doesn't stop there, right? We dive in, then we go and we actually look at the company and we say, what are they doing? What are they about? What is their mission? And this is one of the most important parts about B Corp, is that it is a mission-based certification. Whereas an LLC, you have a fiduciary responsibility to shareholders. A B corporation puts the responsibility to humanity and life and the planet and sustainability and these other principles that go within that. And so it gives you that underlying thing of, if Nike were to buy this company down the road, legally Nike can't change the essential heart of the business. If Nike bought Patagonia, they wouldn't be able to strip the supply chains and start producing Patagonia-based fabrics in sweatshop and start using non-organic cotton and strip all the value that Patagonia has built through their sustainable practices and systems.
Well, what you're saying is B Corp requires you to put it in your operating agreement. They require you to put the benefit and social responsibility clauses within your actual legal guidelines and documentation, so that legally you're required to fulfill your social responsibility principles that you put out in your documents. And B Corp lays out exactly what those principles must include in your documents. So that means if I go ahead and file for a B Corp, I put those principles in my organizing documents, I update those with the local and state governments. That means someone could actually come and sue me if I'm not upholding those principles, because they're in my legal documents, which is a huge deal.
Huge deal.
You know,
game changer.
Most companies won't, if they're planning on just greenwashing, they're not going to open themselves up to that type of liability of getting sued by updating their legal documents to prove that they have this legal responsibility to uphold these social responsible terms. So that's probably one of the biggest things about B Corp, is they make you update your legal documents and file those with the government so that you actually are held to a higher standard. Some of the other certifications that are really good is 1% for the planet. So we obviously talk about Patagonia a lot. Everyone who's in the sustainability world knows that Patagonia is an absolute leader in the space. The founder and CEO, Yvon Chouinard, is an amazing guy. He's got an insane story. He's got a couple really awesome books out there that show his come-up story and his mindset when creating the company, and why doing the right thing was so important to him. He never wanted to have a massive company. It just kind of happened because they made awesome stuff. So and he lived close to the land and close to nature, and that was what was super important to him. So as they grew, he ensured that his company were doing things the right way, because that's really what mattered to him. So that has been reflected in all of Patagonia's business processes, and now they have set up different foundations and certifications that allow companies to kind of follow in their footsteps. And one of those is 1% for the planet, which takes a pledge from each company that is a part of it to donate a percentage of their earnings to local sustainable and ethical and socially responsible, environmentally responsible causes. Just a great guy to follow in his footsteps. So 1% of the planet is great, and it is in line with one of the leaders in the industry, Patagonia, and their amazing founder. So that's another one we're a part of, and we're proud to be a part of. Another benefit of that one is the network of people that you get to work with, the different community-based events that they have, the awareness of what great causes and efforts are being made in the local area, what your money is actually going towards to assist with. So another great one.
This is one of those put your money where your mouth is kind of it shows that you're willing to put up at least 1% of your total earnings towards a cause, towards an initiative, towards something that's going to help create sustainable change in the world. And so that's a huge value add when people see that, and it becomes a, oh, this isn't one of those companies that's only in it for the money. You know, they actually care about humans. They actually care about the planet. They actually care about the product. And those are some of the biggest factors in the consumer's mind when considering what's actually sustainable. Are you a responsible company or not? A couple other ones as related to food products: certified vegan and USDA organic. We do appreciate the organic establishment over non-organic because we know that pesticides are damaging to the human body. It's actually a very vigorous process to get USDA organic certified. I think it's 3 years that you have to have had your farmland or production facilities be pesticide free, and that's a minimum. And then it compounds after that, you know, so you could be 10 years USDA organic, and that's a huge thing.
Sure, and for certified vegan, it doesn't actually even have to be food-based. You could send your shoe that's made from plant-based materials into certified vegan. It just has to be a product that they can receive and then put through their testing facilities and processes to verify that it's made from plant-based materials. So anything that is made plant-based, you can send to certified vegan, and then they will confirm that it is a vegan-made product.
So these are some of the bigger ones, along with the fair trade is something that we really
fair trade's
like
important, and then certified zero waste is a great one, and I am really excited as that one spreads, because zero waste is one of the most important initiatives that a company can take, and it really looks at all of your processes, every single one of your processes, of if you're doing it the right way, and are you recycling where you can, are you reusing everything that you can. Just to recap, greenwashing, don't do it. Don't just be marketing as a sustainable company but not actually doing the sustainable stuff. A way to defend against being kind of categorized as a greenwashing company is to get certified. Some of the great certifications that you can get are B Corp, so you can go to b.creativ.net, certified vegan, 1% for the planet, certified zero waste, USDA organic. Those are some really great ones to start with.
And fair trade.
And fair trade. Yeah, the value is putting your money where your mouth is. Your customers can see on your packaging that you are doing the right things and you have credibility. Not to mention just proving you're not greenwashing, but the network of other companies that will give you business and that will partner with you to help make your processes even more sustainable. That's a huge one, and it might be the biggest one, is to have a network of other companies that you can learn from and maybe teach what you're doing to them as well, and have that sustainable impact in sharing some of the amazing things that you figured out with other companies that could absolutely use that information. So go check out these certifications if you haven't already. They would love to have you as being a part of their community if you're, doing the great work that is creating a sustainable brand.
If you want to learn more, you can check out our guide. Link is below. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're on Spotify, you can find us online or over in the YouTube link. It's 11 sustainable business fails that are killing your business. I think that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Thanks for joining us, guys. See you next time.